While you're grinding away for minimum wage, some world leaders are pulling in billions, not millions, billions. Here's why. The King of Saudi Arabia gets a $9.6 billion annual salary. The UAE's president, $4.61 billion, Kuwait's emir, a modest $165 million. Meanwhile, the president of China, running the world's second-largest economy, makes just $22,000 a year. What you're witnessing isn't just a pay gap. It's a fundamental difference in how power, wealth, and leadership work across the planet. Let me explain why. First up, the monarchy model. In absolute monarchies, there's no separation between the ruler and the state. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Kuwait, these aren't democracies. They're kingdoms where the royal family literally owns the country's resources. That $9.6 billion, it's not just a salary. It's oil revenues flowing directly to the royal family. It's state assets managed as personal wealth. It's a centuries-old system where the king is the state. When your family discovered the oil beneath your land and has ruled for generations, your salary is basically a share of the national GDP that nobody questions. The Saudi king isn't earning $9.6 billion for doing a job. He's getting a cut of the kingdom's natural resources because, in their system, he literally owns them. Now, let's jump to constitutional monarchies. Norway's king gets $33 million. Sweden's, $16 million. Denmark, $11 million. Monaco's prince, $52 million. These monarchs have been stripped of absolute power but kept their symbolic importance and historic wealth. They don't run the government day to day, but they're funded generously because they're living national brand tourism magnets, diplomatic assets, and ceremonial figureheads. Norway's king represents stability and tradition in one of the world's wealthiest nations. His $33 million salary reflects respect for the institution, not political power. And Monaco's prince oversees a billionaire tax haven, smaller than Central Park. That $52 million is pocket change compared to the wealth flowing through his tiny principality. Next, there's the democratic ceiling. In democracies, there's an unspoken rule. Leaders should be well paid, but not obscenely wealthy from the job. The USA, $400,000. Germany, $268,000. Canada, $290,000. France, $194,000. Why these numbers? Because voters are watching. Democratic leaders answer to the people. If a president tried to pay themselves $100 million, there would be riots. These salaries are set to attract qualified leaders, prevent corruption in theory, maintain the illusion of public service, and stay politically defensible. The US president makes roughly what a senior surgeon or corporate VP makes. Comfortable? Yes. Billionaire-rich? No. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. The optics game. China's leader makes $22,000. Russia's $136,000. Belarus, $33,000. Venezuela, $49,000. These leaders aren't poor. They're playing a different game entirely. In authoritarian or communist-shrouded systems, low official salaries serve a purpose. It's all about projecting the image. I am a servant of the people. Xi Jinping can stand before 1.4 billion Chinese citizens and say his salary is just $22,000 less than a factory manager oil, projecting humility and dedication to Communist Party ideals. But here's what that tiny number doesn't include. State-funded residences, security details, private transportation, access to state resources worth billions, alleged offshore accounts, and family business dealings. It's a smokescreen. Putin's official salary, $136,000. Putin's estimated actual wealth, somewhere between $70 and $200 billion. When you control the state, you don't need a big paycheck. You have access to everything. State jets. That's for official business. Luxury compounds, government property, mysterious wealth. Private investments. Low official salaries in authoritarian states aren't about modesty. They're about plausible deniability. Then there's the poor country problem. Sri Lanka's president makes $7,000. Bangladesh's $17,000. Ukraine's $12,000. Ethiopia $45,000. Why so low? Because the countries themselves are broke. When your nation is struggling with debt, inflation, or crisis, paying your president millions becomes politically impossible. Ukraine's president makes $12,000 officially because the country is at war, and can't afford to pay more can't be seen paying more while citizens suffer. Sri Lanka's president makes $7,000 because the country went bankrupt. Paying more would spark a revolution. But again, do these leaders actually live on these salaries? Absolutely not. State resources, allowances, and expenses fill the gap. Here's the uncomfortable truth about all these numbers. Official salary does not equal actual wealth. Billionaire monarchs report billions because it's legal and expected. Democratic leaders report hundreds of thousands because it's politically safe. Authoritarian leaders report thousands because it's strategically useful. The Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, and countless investigations have shown us that what leaders earn officially and what they have are often completely different stories. So why do some heads of state earn billions? It's not about the job. It's about the system. In absolute monarchies, wealth equals power, which equals state ownership. In democracies, the salary is competitive but controlled. In authoritarian states, the official salary is just political theater. In Saudi Arabia, being king means owning the oil. In America, being president means a good salary and a pension. In China, being president means, well, we're not entirely sure what it means financially, and that's kind of the point. Want to know something wild? The bottom 20 leaders on this list, from Mexico to Sri Lanka, make a combined $1 million annually in official salary. The Saudi king alone makes almost 10,000 times that. By himself, in 1 year, the Indian Prime Minister leads 1.4 billion people for $84,000. The Kuwaiti Emir leads 4.3 million people for $165 million. Population doesn't determine pay. Democracy doesn't determine pay. Responsibility doesn't determine pay. Control over resources does. And here's the ultimate irony. Some of the lowest paid leaders on this list, from China, Russia, and Venezuela, are credibly accused of being among the world's wealthiest individuals through corruption. Meanwhile, some of the highest paid leaders from Saudi Arabia and the UAE are completely transparent about their wealth because their system allows it. The question isn't who earns the most. The question is, who's telling the truth? Comment below. Would you rather rule a democracy for $400,000 or a kingdom for $9.6 billion? Follow for more data that exposes the systems running our world. Thanks for watching.